Yeah, I'm Charlotte. I'm the founder and creative director of Studio Agriculture. We're a design agency that specialise in agriculture, but also brands that are connected to the land. And we have been building brands for the last 10 years, specifically in the agricultural space, helping farmers better tell their story and how to really get clear across the B2B markets. But in the last 2 years, we've kind of opened our arms into building brands for a lot of property, a lot of land development, communities and other products and things like that.
Welcome to the Dev Ready podcast. Joining me on the Dev Ready podcast today, I have Charlotte Durack. Charlotte, thanks for taking the time out of your morning to jump on and have a chat.
Thanks so much, Anthony. Great to be here.
For those of you that don't know how I run the podcast or haven't heard this before, I've never actually met Charlotte before, so don't know each other. So I will let you, Charlotte, introduce yourself to everyone and explain who you are and what you do, because there's no way I won't butcher that.
No, absolutely. I'm Charlotte. I'm the founder and creative director of Studio Agriculture. We're a design agency that is specialised in agriculture, but also brands that are connected to the land. And we build brands we have been building brands for the last 10 years, specifically in the agricultural space, helping farmers better tell their story and how to really get clear across the B2B markets. But in the last 2 years, we've kind of opened our arms into building brands for a lot of property, a lot of land development, communities and other products and things like that. That was, I guess, a natural kind of evolution to bring our process and our methodology into other areas. And again, that also came from it being, ag being quite a risky kind of, we have drought and then, we get these big fluctuations in work. And so that's been a really good way of expanding ourselves and taking on different bits of work.
What was the story behind focusing on sort of like the agricultural area for the design?
It is very unique and very nuanced. So my family background was in cattle farming back in the 1800s. The Durack sides were pioneering cattle kings, I guess they used to call us. So we always got told, we always grew up going to the country and then, being told, oh, you're a Durack. And I never really understood what that meant because I grew up here in Brisbane, went to an all-girls school. And then I started to have, a real connection to the land. And I had some friends that were in the agricultural space and I started to go to some cattle auctions and things like that and looked around and went, these guys are super behind, but this is such an amazing industry to be in. Why are they set so behind? So that's kind of where that was the catalyst of where the company started 10 years ago now. Gosh, this month it's 10 years.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Yeah, it just started. And I think at the time we were really the only people doing it. And we also had a really creative style that people connected with. We try to push the boundaries of traditional creative and, people started to see that and love that difference and kind of the impact that the creativity was having. And since then, we've worked with brands from global meat brands that are on the shelves all over the world, JBS, which was a really big one, John Deere tractors, lots of the vaccinations, lots of investment companies and a lot of those corporates. And back in the beginning, it was a really good opportunity because no one was doing it and they were behind. So I was like, great, sign me up. So I just kind of got all these amazing opportunities. And then I sort of started to think, are we actually making a real difference? So we started to kind of change our direction and, we started doing, I guess we like to call it was a few crumbs, when you start a business, you kind of say yes to everything. But then it was only in the 4 years in, we started really honing our brand strategy piece and trying to position these agricultural brands so that they're set up well and they're telling their story from exactly and communicating exactly what they're doing and sharing that. So we then kind of became a specialist in that strategic pathway And I guess a lot of that comes to understanding the agricultural landscape, which I think has given us a really good edge that not many people can do.
I'm sure there's probably a lot of brands that are in the space that have got a long pedigree, sort of like your family name. They've been there for a long time and they're the providers and suppliers to the rest of the industry. So getting that cut through to explain their story, who they are and what they do is probably very important as well. Very important, and also very practical. When we talk about marketing, you know, it's very practical because we know where they are. And we always thought we were going to go more B2C, and we started off that way to kind of tell agricultural stories to urban communities. But then our specialty is really in the B2B space, is taking an agricultural product, whether it's a bag of seed or a bag of cattle and sheep feed, and be able to sell that into the farmer network. And that's our space. We really own that space. We know where the farmers are. We get highly targeted. We know they're buying, the way that they buy, the way they purchase, their relationships. And so we build our creative philosophy around knowing our customer and how do we target them. Our work is very dependent on where the market is, and, you know, it might be beef doing really well, so all our brands are beef, and then it will be ag tech. Ag tech's really quite a big one. It's been a really exciting part, particularly for our work, and kind of these amazing new innovations that we're seeing. But we're also seeing the adoption of them, you know, and how do we actually get our farmers to, you know, being very kind of sensitive to how we promote those into this space, and, you know, make it feel more like a practical transition rather than a whole evolution. So that's been another kind of interesting one. The whole time you've been mentioning that, I've just got, like, in my head, it's Clarkson's Farm. Is sort of like the B2C exposure of all of that. And in the new season, he has gone to the automated tractors and the robots and everything. So that's that ag tech. It's that, yeah. And it's ag tech is interesting because you sort of think, oh, is it an app? But it's actually, we worked with a company that's a weed seed company called Seed Terminator, who were a fabulous client of ours for a long time. And it clips onto the back of a harvester, and as they're harvesting, it picks up or rips out all the weeds underneath and comes out like a chute, and then lands back on the land, and like a mulch, sort of, in the lamest terms. And that for us, that is ag tech. That is big machinery and huge John Deere tractors that you just can't even wrap your head around the scale of what they operate. But that sort of innovation is really exciting. The apps and things, I think, are really difficult for farmers to adopt, and they almost need to be attached to a physical technology there to support the equipment and the hardware. Because an app on its own isn't going to do much for a farmer. It's going to tell you some stats or some weather or something else and track things, but they're a physical job. They're out on the field. They're doing stuff, and it has to interact with that. Has to help them do their job. Yeah. So another one that we worked on was Sarah's Tag. That was like an iPhone on the ear of a tag. So they can track exactly where the cattle are. If they're sick, they can get more water, put more water out for the cattle, and determine, as we move into data, they can track all of those movements of the cattle, and that becomes a really useful piece of technology for the end consumer and the customer, being, say, Coles or Woolies. So there's those technologies that have really come in that we've been part of. And then one at the moment that we're working on is which I think people would find really interesting, is the first ever global platform for purchasing semen genetics online. So you can actually, cattle, dairy, horses, purchase that and be able to find and sell semen for, finding exactly what traits you want. So I think back and I sort of forget that we're really into technology, but we definitely are. But it's so gradual that, it almost just is becoming like, oh, yeah. It still takes a backseat to everything that has to happen.
yeah, it still takes a back seat, but it is interesting that all of the brands that we're working on are not set in their ways. Everything that we're doing is, people are growing and changing and things are moving.
That industry has probably had to do that regardless anyway, because it did start with ploughing with horses and ox and whatever it was, and it turned into tractors. And that would have been a huge revolution for the entire world when that happened. And now it's changing again to like autonomous tractors, but it's still tractors.
Yeah, and now it's carbon neutral, and they're kind of they've all been innovating forever. Even the companies we work with, who produce the first seedless watermelon, like they are extremely like in the innovation. But it's a wonderful industry, and it's amazing how they cross over. But again, at the forefront of what works well are the business owners, the ones that we can really see that vision and who's going to work with us because they see our vision. And
yes, they're a bit more innovative, thinking ahead, trying to keep up with the times and how to adjust. Definitely.
And then that they sort of go, well, we recognize that our brand and how it's perceived and how we're presenting it is extremely important. We're kind of moving away from this, it's what my dad did, so I'll do it that. So it's these new next gen sort of coming in, and they're not looking at what their dad did. They're really looking to change things. I don't think I've seen such a big jump in how things are changing than in the last 2 years, in particular. So it's pretty wild.
It would be because, like I said, Clarkson Farms are only into that, and then maybe Yellowstone on the other side if you're looking at like ranch and cattle related. And then the way I see it, it's ideally they're just building two big brands on like in that TV show that's a fictional brand. But then on Clarkson's farm, his farm is a brand, and now he's got his beer. So there's products that are related to it, and he's trying to push farm grown, locally or sourced products. Are you finding that's something similar that's happening to clients in Australia as well?
I do see that, especially in like local areas where, the farming is a big part of the local area and how they purchase. I don't interact with it that much. We have done one in the Sunshine Coast that's eggs and pork and, selling locally, but you'll see the eggs in IGA and things like that. But I would love it to move faster. I would admit I haven't. I think I think Coles and Woolies are still kind of owning that space, which makes it really difficult. Again, like the need to kind of, I think, yes, the people that do it well are investing in the brand, but I'm not seeing that.
Yeah, okay. Because I do get ads occasionally for the sort of Our Cow or My Cow, I think it's called. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but they're like the farm paddock to table meat. You can just buy your meat from them rather than going through the supermarkets. And that's probably the only brands that I can think of outside of what Coles, Woolies and Aldi sell as branded meat, which is their own brand on top of the...
I think we are still so detached with where our food comes from. And I think... I think the ones that are doing it well. But again, we are so B2B, so we do sit sort of behind that space. But then, I think the connection between the supplier and the farmer is going to get stronger. Like we're working closely with the feedlot at the moment, and their customer is Coles, and they're investing in that brand so that Coles, that sustainability side is going to be shown. But that takes a founder and a leader to really drive that, to say, I want to tell that story. But we are seeing that, but I think we can, I think ag has a bit of a bad rap sometimes, that they say quite quiet.
It's vital, but it's on the back of everyone's mind, I would say. You don't really give it much thought. It's just things appear in the supermarket and you just go on about your day.
Yeah, and it's just a disconnect from the supply.
Yeah. Well, the only time most people generally see anything on the news about anything to do with farming and agriculture is there's some giant plague going on. There's mice and rats everywhere. It's flooding, it's drought, it's one or the other. It's never, we had a good harvest and we exceeded expectations because of X and Y, or these are changing and making things better.
Well, I'll ring my clients at that point. They go, no, we're having a great time over here. Our numbers are huge. Like our unfortunately, when there is drought, it's the clients that we have that have the products that are amazing for that are doing really well. So
it's a give and take, and depending on the situations.
Yeah.
How are you finding being in that space and then trying to probably innovate in your own business as well?
Such a wonderful question. And I've found myself recently feeling a bit overwhelmed, to be honest, with the rate of these technologies and the constant noise on Instagram with all these new AI apps. And I'm going, which one do we try? Which one do we? And we're so busy that how do we actually choose the right one? So explore that, have the time and the money invested in doing that, and then actually implement those changes into the business. That is something I'm really struggling with. So if anyone has an idea how to do that, I would love to know it. I think I've got to take that kind of step back and go, okay, let's just start with one change, and instead of trying to do it all at once. So recently, as a creative agency, people would know that creative concepting up things that we present to the client is a exploring discovery phase that we do. So that we've started using like a Google Pomeli to get to concept up some of our ideas and kind of input, what we want to create. And that was the first success we had in it. We presented a full year's campaign and a collection of creative ads and things for cattle and sheep nutrition. And we did use it and we were quite impressed. I think it's me using it and then trying to get my team to adopt it is another thing. There's some sort of pushback on, this is just your junk that you're putting in front of us. We're really busy, we don't have time to explore your little ideas. So there's a bit of welcome to a creative agency, but there is that pushback. But so as the business owner, I actually think it's my job to explore all of these things in my time and then work out what's the best one that's going to suit us. I use ChatGPT, I think that's helped my sales side with the, emails and things like that. But it's the creative execution side. I'm starting to go, okay, how do we, change from using Adobe, which we've used a lot, into Figma? How do we actually get things out quicker? The trick, I had someone say, one of our media guys said to us, like, why you guys need to just move quicker and just use AI to do all your stuff. We are paid really good money to have really, really high level work. We moved out of churn when Canva hit. That was a long time ago. We don't do thousands of projects. We do big projects. And so I don't know how to get that balance right. Let's actually move quicker.
It's a similar thing in our business. So the benefit is I consider it my job to be on top of the AI as much as possible. So in that, I listen and watch 8 to 10 hours of stuff a week just on AI. But that's at a different level. I was doing a weekly update and giving everyone, this is what I've seen and this is what I've done. These are my opinions on it. I haven't done that for about 6 weeks because the business just got busy and took over. It's starting with a tool and just using it. So using ChatGPT for emails and maybe like approaches or proposals, but it may be that's how you can start brainstorming. So the best use and the best way to describe it is use it to create a draft. So then you don't have to sit there on the blank page and it avoids blank page syndrome.
Yeah, I definitely love that. I think, it's been awesome. Especially where I'm a visual person, but I'm in a sales seat.
Yeah, because as a business owner, you wear multiple hats.
Yes.
Yeah, and then there's tools. So if you're using, I use ChatGPT. It's called Codex, which is their like desktop tool. It's for coding, but the difference with that one compared to Claude on your computer is it's got an inbuilt ability to create images.
Oh.
So you can use that for like your mood boards or just concepts. You can then iterate off of them and then do your own stuff if you wanted to.
Yep.
And then they've got an ability to create skills, which is you can define a repeatable skill and you can get it to create it for you and improve it. Then you can say, all right, let's use the mood board skill, and then you give it all the information and it'll just repeat the same thing every time. So it'll give you the same output every single time, same number of files or structure and content. So that's like a really simple way to get ahead with those.
Yeah. Does it integrate with Figma? You know?
Yeah, there is they're called MCP servers. So it's like a way to connect to Figma, and you can add that to it. And then I think you should be able to create the assets for you inside of Figma as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
The biggest push or the hardest thing, I think in your space, being in the creative design, you can have a very similar thing to what we as developers have had, which is you're looking to try and use the tools and how to improve them, but you're going to get a lot of pushback from the team saying, it can't replace what we do. As a developer, they're like, no, it'll never write code as good as what I can write. It's going to write crap. And that was a hard push to get through people, and even for me to understand what's possible.
Maybe some timelines of like how long till we change our process. I mean, we've been doing the same process, with adaptations for the last, we change it a little bit, but the last sort of, we set that process so that we could rinse and repeat, so that we were reducing our time. And then now we're going, okay, we got to actually change that process again.
Having the process is, you can still keep the same structure, but use AI in pieces of it to speed it up.
Yeah.
So instead of providing 2 concepts, you could provide 5, because the AI can help you get through 5 in the same time as 2.
Yeah.
That may be too many options to present to a client, and then you go nowhere faster. But that's what you can do, is you can get through a lot more in the same amount of time.
I need to build something.
Because you're in the creative space, you're going to get a lot of pushback on people saying it doesn't create anything new. It's just remixing, or it's made by AI. But I think that is them trying to protect what they're doing and fighting against the change, which is the farmers that were farming with horse and cow compared to a tractor. You're still doing the same amount of work. You still need to know what to do and know how to use the tool to do your job faster, not that it's replacing you.
I think there's pushback on them feeling like they don't have time for it not to be tied up in a perfect bow to know exactly how to use it. So I think... And
that takes... You need to play with it to figure out the little nuances and the details. But if you can prompt it and then in 5 minutes have a draft of something ready for you to review and work off and iterate from, where that would have taken you an hour...
Yeah.
While you are busy, you are going to be saving time.
Yeah.
So it's more about probably positioning it to the team. Imagine you have a junior designer with you, you've given them a brief and they've come back with a draft. They're never going to give you something packaged up in a bow and ready to present to a client either. So now you take it and do what you need to do to present it and clean it up or change it, but at least get that first bit done.
I'm working with a lot of perfectionists in this. If they saw a half-done work, they would go, well, what's the point?
It's an interesting challenge because it's the people challenge is the thing that you have to overcome.
The people is the hardest because it's like change in any business. It's like they're scared and, it's a psychology thing. So even when we use that Pomeli to do these concepts, they took it on and went, oh, that actually did work. Oh, but none of the styles of the photos are the same. And, they found all the problems. But I still was able to then create a new tool that they were comfortable using.
Someone might be empowered then to go, all right, how do we make it the same? How do we get all the photos to be the same style so then we can improve this as in the next version? Yeah.
And the way that I've done that is I've gone to my other agency partner who are very good at it. And I've said, guys, I need you to help us execute on these ideas and show us how AI can be used. I think if my team sees that that can be executed to the level that they're happy with, they'll then start believing it. So I've got a partner who's spent a lot of time in it and doing even video, like proper AI video and things. I'm going to try and execute some of our ideas, and I think that will be a light bulb moment.
I think it would, because if they invested the time to try and find the nuances and tweak and understand how to make their workflow work, then they can make you jump a couple steps ahead in implementation.
Yeah. So I think collaborating with others that are really accepting it and, trying to kind of work together in that way to try and get some more partners aligned with it who are really close to it. Like the same services us is going to be the way to go. I think the tricky one for us is a lot of our work is writing because it's very science-based, and the strategy and the writing kind of go together. And so I'd love to find a way to be able to speed that process up without losing, that special touch. I mean, writing is a huge part of what people get really blown away with when we do it.
That's just going to be an iterative thing where you test it, give it a skill, give it the right prompts and get it to do it. It may make things up. So you have to be aware of that. And in certain cases, you need that. You want it to do that. But if you're being very scientific and you have to give it stats, it's generally, more recently, I've seen that it's less, there's less made up content and less hallucinations, as they call it, than there was. So it's not as much of a concern anymore in what I've been doing day to day. Yeah.
I haven't given Claude a go yet, which is probably, most people are all over Claude.
Yeah, there's Claude and ChatGPT. They're both, like, when they release their new models, they both are now, on Friday, they had what was it called? Fable 5 was their most recent release from Anthropic, which is the parent company of Claude. And that was really good at making websites with animations, and apparently was blowing everyone away in apps and coding and everything that it was doing. But now that's been taken off the market because there was some security concerns with the US government. But that day that was released, that was the best one. Go back 3-4 weeks earlier, the other company, like ChatGPT 5.5 was the best one, and Claude was the best one. They're all much of a muchness these days. It's just what works and what you become familiar with.
I went on Claude and then got overwhelmed by the tokens, and I didn't know what it meant. And I went,
Yeah, it's just that's the way they charge. It does get confusing.
Yeah, I went, not ready to accept that.
Yeah. But I was say, if you do have a ChatGPT account, try give that Codex a try, because then you can create files on your own computer that you can work off, not just a chat. And it's got the native image ability, which is useful to get concepts or rough ideas.
Yeah. No, we're seeing changes even in, not just AI, but even in Figma. We would typically do everything in Adobe, and I'm seeing a big move out of Adobe into Figma. We do all of our stuff in Figma. So even that is a big change for us to adopt, to start rolling things out in a different.
Yeah, because the designers have a workflow, they're proficient in it, they're fast, they can do things. Once you get it good in Figma, it's the same as well.
I'm also fast in the others. I'm sort of going, when do I even have an hour? And then I'm finding there's a bit of agitation to then sitting in something for a long time, because I'm like, no, I shouldn't be doing this. I should be using the technology. It's way quicker. And then it's like, it's this really sort of dysregulated moment that I'm finding is now I'm like, how much time should we be spending in our usual way, or is there a better way? And then you kind of get a bit down on yourself, because you're going, well, now I'm slow, I'm wasting money, I'm wasting time,
And that's the owner hat, trying to understand, are we being efficient? Am I going to hit targets and do what we need?
But before when it wasn't a thing, I thought, we've got this we've just built this, we've got a really strong brand methodology of how we work and go through things. And now it's sort of flipped on its head. And now I'm going, well, do we ditch that? But, at the very least, we are high-level strategic agency. So for us, we don't have to completely change that side of it, because ultimately the big stuff would still have to feed someone. The ideas are what we are paid for.
And the strategy and the direction is all important. That comes from you guys. That's not going to get replaced by AI anytime soon.
Yeah.
It's how you bring things to life, where you can use AI to help you once you've gone through your process and your strategy and the design, and you've got a direction to move with.
Yeah, especially those assets, like creating those really fast, but I'm still yet to see that. I think my next move would be trying to get a junior to work with me closely on how do we change some of these processes and adopting AI. But it's finding someone that's happy to take that accountability and is excited about that. Nobody's excited and nobody's passionate yet.
That may be because you're working with very creative people.
Oh, yeah.
So you may need someone that's more on the tech side.
Yeah.
that's more about process and improvement and steps and analytical to figure out how to improve things.
Yeah, yeah. No, creatives are creatives. But even I said to my husband, who's a lawyer, have you looked at this AI stuff? Because law is really going to be something that is going to be impacted. And he's, I don't want to look at that. I don't want to know it.
He'll be falling behind as well because there are lawyers that are using AI tools to scan case notes and documents.
Well, I think they say they're not, but then when you actually look over, they are using it. It's just this sort of...
It's the image they're protecting.
Yeah, it's sort of this, it feels like you've got to say I'm completely changing. There's this whole revolution, but actually it's people are adopting things. It's just, I think we need to take a breath and there's been so much hype around it. So just, everyone is using it. I think it's
100%. There's going to be people that are not using it at all and have their heads buried in the grass, and they're just going to be falling behind because they're going to be taking too long to do things and won't be able to keep up with the output of everyone else.
Yeah. And my mum, she still doesn't use internet banking, and look, I'm never going to end up like that. So I think definitely not burying the head, but
it's a big challenge and there's a lot of change. There's a lot of hype that you have to try and get around and understand what's actually useful. Like you said, there's apps and tools coming out everywhere, and knowing what to pick is hard, but just stick with one of the main ones for now. They're not going to go anywhere. So at least you can then understand how they work, get the benefit, and then it's all about, I think, incremental changes. So just how do you improve things bit by bit as you go and figure out the right way to use it?
Yeah, it's high thinking stuff. It's really, it's not just the creative, it's blending that business side with the AI going, how do we ultimately increase and make money from doing this? Is it time? So I've noticed over the last 6 months, we've actually stopped billing we didn't always bill a lot hourly, but we've actually really decreased on the hourly work, which is really interesting because we normally used to sort of do that. And I think that comes with trying to sort of phase that out because we're more output focused. So there's little shifts happening that we are almost unaware of, but they are happening.
Every little step is just, trying to improve everything you're doing along the way. I'd say another probably great use case for yourself is AI note takers during meetings and workshops. So that way you don't have to sit there and take notes by hand. You can, but then you've got transcripts you can then go back over and you can then say, all right, what are the action items that came out of that meeting? Or what did the client say they liked or didn't like when we were discussing the brands, things like that.
That is awesome.
That will definitely help you. So when I go to a meeting and we're in person, I've got a little speaker that comes with me. And I plonk it on the table. I set up a Teams meeting and just start recording. So even though we're talking in person, there's still a recording of the meeting with one of those AI tools invited in.
Which one do you use?
At the moment, we're using a tool called Fixer, which is Fyxer. And that also does email, organization for your inbox. So it puts things in the right folders like spam or FYIs or meeting updates. So it cleans that up and gives you a bit of time back every day. And it does the meeting notes. Yeah, you can give that one a go. That's useful. We're working on an AI agent for businesses to sort of do something similar. So I'll let you know once that's ready as well if you're interested in having a look. But that is the idea in that product is it's sort of like your EA for your business. It's like your business is the AI. So you can talk to it about, once you give it all the information, you can then talk to it about anything that you're doing.
Yeah, that's great. I need one of those. I think I'm pretty old school. I sort of like being coached in this stuff. I like the human aspect. And
that can't go away. In the meeting notes, when we do it in person, I can spend more time talking about the problem than stopping the conversation to write notes. My business partner still likes to write notes. He's got one of those the paper things that you can write on that's like paper, but it's the screen.
Oh, the iPad-y.
Yeah, there's a different one that feels like you're writing on paper. I can't remember what it's called. So he still does that. And those notes don't get shared to anyone because he doesn't share them. But I've got the recording. I've got everything we spoke about. So I don't need to get his handwritten notes. I can just keep going back to that.
Yeah, we definitely need that.
That will be a change for everyone.
I definitely get in trouble for not writing good enough notes as well.
Yeah. And then that way you can spend more time focusing on the conversation than trying to write notes as well.
No, that is good. I'm going to look at that. Fyxer.
Yeah, that's the one we're currently using.
Yeah, cool.
Well, if there's anything else you ever need to know, just just reach out and let me know. Thanks for your time and jumping on board. And if anyone wants to reach out that's listening and find out more about what you do, and if they're probably in this space and want to find out some of your services and what you can do, how can they do that?
You can follow us on Instagram, Studio Agriculture, or you can go to our website and our email is on there. Or you can email me directly, charlotte@studioagriculture.co, and that's .co. For people, we're very progressive.
We'll put all that into the show notes as well, so then everyone can find it easy.
Thanks so much. Oh, and follow on LinkedIn as well, of course.
Charlotte, it's been a pleasure speaking to you today. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Anthony. And look forward to hearing.
Thank you.
Thanks.